Okay, for tomorrow's lab, we're doing a lab about collisions in 2 dimensions. In this lab, we'll investigate what happens when 2 steel balls of equal mass collide and move off in different directions. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure the horizontal distance that each ball travels and the direction the balls travel, and it will show us if momentum has been conserved. So we're going to study the conservation of momentum in this lab. So what you see here is the setup for tomorrow's lab. We have a ramp on the desk, and the lab will tell you to use a C-clamp to attach it, but we're going to use tape. And what I've done here is I've attached a string with a weight at the bottom, and down on the floor I've taped pieces of paper, and an X on the bottom will mark a straight distance down from the table. Also, what I've done is I've taped these pieces of paper, they're carbon paper, so that when the ball lands, it will place a mark and we'll be able to measure exactly where the ball lands. So the first thing we're going to do is you need to set it up so that the screw at the end of the ramp is exactly in the middle of the ramp. And we're going to take one of the balls and release it from the top, and the ball will fall straight down and make a mark on the carbon paper. And I would say you should do this about 5 times. So hold it up at the top of the ramp, and then we'll let it go 5 times. And when it lands, each time it makes a small dot on the carbon paper. And you'll do that about 5 times. So if you see here, all the dots are pretty close here. We have 3 that were right next to each other. So the best thing to do is we want to mark that exact spot where the ball hit. And so if you just poke a little hole through the paper, and you can put a dot right there, and so we'll need to measure that when it comes to time. So then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the ramp, and you want to just turn it off to the side a little bit. That should be good. And then you want to set one of the steel balls at the very top of the screw there. And then the other one, you want to make sure that if you set it here, that they're lined up exactly. So I have already adjusted the screw so that the centers line up. So you'll have to do that too, so that they line up exactly. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to take this one, put it at the top again. It will come down to hit that ball, and they'll both separate and land at a different direction, and we'll be measuring those directions. So do the same thing about 5 times. And they should have both placed a mark on the carbon paper. And then I'll do it one more time. So once you've dropped it, done the collision about 5 times, look at where the points landed and figure out maybe where the average would be. And it looks like mine was pretty accurate. They all landed in about the same place. So you'll do the same thing. You'll want to make a point, make a mark. So I would just poke a little hole about where the average was, and over here as well. Once you have your 5 points, you'll find about where the average was, and make a point there as well. From here, we'll remove this paper from the ground, and then we'll start our calculations.